Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse. My name is George, and if this is your first time here or you have been here before, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button for me and turn on the notification bell so you are informed when I actually drop a video like today. Surprise video. 3 free agent announcements were made today as expected, but I'm going to go into the details of those signings and a Woj Bomb. That's right. Wojnarowski dropped the bomb today that the Jazz may be open to listening to Spider offers. That's right. Donovan Mitchell may be traded, and I'm going to get into the pros and cons of it. I already have done a video about this, but in this one, I'm actually going to put out 2 trade proposals, possibilities. They're just, they're works in progress. And I will also lay out my opinion for what the Knicks should actually do. Obviously, if I'm putting out trade proposals, I'm going to be an advocate for making this trade with only one specific hold. It cannot involve RJ Barrett. So that is the key. RJ Barrett has too much pop potential. I mean, we're talking about a guy that lit up the Miami Heat, one of the top defenses in the game, for 30 points in a single half. We're talking about the guy who sparked the Boston Celtics on their winning ways by hitting that tremendous clutch shot. So we're talking about a guy who had 11 30-plus point games last season, and all that by the age at the age of 21. So we're talking about a guy who has tremendous all-star potential, and the whole point of trading for someone like a Donovan Mitchell would be to pair him with RJ. But first, let's go to the free agent signings. Here we go. Today, these are 3 Fred Katz tweets. Thank you, Fred, from The Athletic, for basically laying out what the actual contracts were. So for Jalen Brunson's 4-year, $104 million deal with the Knicks, it descends from year 1. And here are the details according to a source. Year 1, it starts out at $27.7 million. Then year 2, it goes down to $26.3 million. And then it goes down to $24.9 million, which will be the same for the 4th year. Also, Brunson has a 10% trade kicker, the source says. And that's pretty typical. I believe Randall also has a 10%. I think Randall's is 15%, I believe. And then our guy Mitch is back. But first of all, before I get to that, we have to basically acknowledge that, Brunson, I would say he's probably a top 14, top 15 starting point guard in the game, and that's much better than we have been in. I mean, well, Derrick Rose is one thing aside, but we couldn't depend on him to play consistently. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that the Knicks finally have a point guard, a bona fide point guard whose better days, like I keep saying, are most likely ahead of him. And we'll get into discussing the pluses and minuses of him. But I think overall, it still is a high price tag, in my opinion. But point guard is such a pivotal position, and we have been lacking there for too many years. So finally, that seems to finally be put to rest. All right, well, Mitch is back with his 4-year, $60 million deal from the Knicks, and it's also a descending contract. In 22-23, next season, the next upcoming season, he'll be making $17 million, which is a big jump from what was he making before, $1.8 million. So good for you, Mitch. You got the bag. Yes. In 23-24, he'll be making 15.7, so it drops down, and then it drops down again in 24-25 to 14.3, and it goes even lower in 25-26 to 13 million. There are no options in this deal and no trade kickers either. So I think probably they made a deal with him. The reason is probably the final year is not a team option is probably because he agreed to a descending contract, which really helps the Knicks later on as we move forward to try to make some, acquire some bigger talent. But there are stirrings now, so we'll see. We'll get into that. And then finally, Fred tweeted this out. Isaiah Hartenstein has a $16 million guaranteed in his 2-year contract with the Knicks, according to a source. But he also has $1,005,000 in unlikely bonuses each season. So in year 1, his is not descending. His is just a regular contract. In year 1, he makes $7.8 million. In year 2, $8.2 million. So today, it became official. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while, and I gotta say, I'm ecstatic about signing Hartenstein, and totally, you guys know, I'm super excited that Mitch is back, and I believe that Mitch, I mean, I just think he has a lot of untapped potential, and hopefully he's working on that this summer, on his offensive game. We need it. We saw what Jericho's been doing. Jericho's been handling the ball. He's been taking it from the three-point line, driving into the paint, making spin moves, passing it out when he doesn't have a clear path, and then jumping, adjusting midair, and finishing and getting and ones. Loving what I'm seeing from Jericho. That kind of stuff is what I want to see from Mitch. And he showed us. He showed us a flash, remember? He showed us that one drive and dunk, which was fantastic. In reality, Mitch is probably even a little more explosive. He's probably a little more explosive than Sims. Sims actually has the bigger vertical leap, but Mitch can get past people. So let's see what happens, man. Let's fingers crossed that he is adding to his offensive arsenal, and maybe a little floater, a little baby hook, little baby jumper. Those are all the things that he must provide for the team to move forward and to become a contender, to at least get back. Well, the contender might be big, but at least get back to playoff contention. Let's put it that way. To get that 7th seed, 8th seed, maybe even possible to get up to a 6th seed if it's possible. Not sure. Haven't really gone that deep into analyzing what all the teams have done and see where the Knicks fall in there. But in my opinion, like I said before, they way underachieved last season. So there's a possibility that if the chemistry is right and Thibs plays the right guys in the right moments, this team could achieve some serious regular season success and get back into the playoffs like they did in 2020-21. And then and Brunson, you know, like I said, I gave the Brunson signing a B. But then again, it really, like I said just before, it solves a lot of issues, and now we don't have to worry about that. He will definitely solidify that position for us. Unfortunately, it blocks a path for Quickly, who I really believe that Quickly can really turn into a bona fide point guard in the NBA. I know there's a lot of debate about that, but I have laid it out for you guys, and it's just there. I mean, he is an incredibly impactful player when he's on the court. And he's only going to get better, guys. That's the one thing. He's only going to get better. That's just his makeup. That's just the way he is. And let's get to these. These are some posts that the New York Knicks put out, the PR department. Leon Rose talking about Mitchell Robinson here. He says, he's our defensive anchor, our rim protector, and someone our organization has seen grow tremendously, both on and off of the court over the last 4 seasons. And it's really it's a great feeling for the franchise to be able to bring back one of their draft picks and develop them further. I'm really happy with this personally. Then Leon Rose also put out a statement on Jalen Brunson. He's a competitor, a leader, a playmaker, and most importantly, a winner. And that is very important. That is very important, and that is very true about Jalen Brunson. His addition is a perfect complement to the team that we are building and the culture we are establishing. So those things, I cannot disagree with anything Leon has said here. And you got to say, when someone has that kind of conviction and they follow through on it, he said he was going to bring back Mitch. And, you know, you could tell he was going to sign Jalen Brunson. He started clearing cap space, which is why the Knicks decided not to hold on to their 11th pick and trade down and then trade out completely of the first round and acquire 3 heavily protected first round picks, but that can be used. And we'll talk about that soon. Yes. So I'm happy with this. I think this is a good situation here. The Knicks have done what they said they were going to do, and these signings, in my opinion, are much better than last season's signings. So there is progress. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Woj Bomb. That's right. Today, it was tweeted out by Adrian Wojnarowski. Here we go. After previously shutting down inquiries on moving All-Star guard Donovan Mitchell, rival teams say the Utah Jazz are showing a willingness to listen on possible trade scenarios, sources tell ESPN. Boom! Here we go. We've been speculating about that here on the Knicks-Verse for quite a while, and now here it is. So it's going to come down to the price, and it's going to come down to the actual offers that they get. Now, I have an opinion about the Gobert trade and how it could impact all of this, but first let me finish reading the other follow-up, the thread that came with that initial Woj Bomb. The asking price appears to be steep, but in the wake of Utah's recent Rudy Gobert blockbuster deal to Minnesota, the Jazz are no longer simply dismissing calls on Mitchell, sources said. Then the next follow-up tweet is, Jazz general manager Justin Zanuck told reporters in a recent interview, change is inevitable in the NBA. Things evolve in the NBA. So I couldn't sit here and say anybody is, parentheses, untouchable. There's no intent there to trade Mitchell at all. All right. The Jazz are open to trades across the entire roster too, but Mitchell is certainly the organization's most valuable and coveted asset. So, I mean, that one last line, there's no intent there's no intent there to trade Mitchell at all, kind of contradicts everything. But teams always have to sneak those things in, or else it seems like they're just having a fire sale, and they're not. They want to get the right price for him. Something though, as I keep going through this, let's go to the next one here. Now this is from The Athletic. Tony Jones and the Athletic staff put this out today. Knicks could quickly put together trade packages for Donovan Mitchell, according to sources. The New York Knicks are expected to quickly try to put together a trade package for Utah All-Star guard Donovan Mitchell, league sources told The Athletic on Tuesday. After previous reports indicated that the Jazz would not be looking to move Mitchell, the organization appears to now be willing to listen to offers. Utah's bar for trading Mitchell is expected to be sky high, as the 25-year-old has been the team's leading scorer every season of his career and has led the Jazz to 5 straight playoff appearances. The Jazz have already traded fellow All-Star center Rudy Gobert to the Timberwolves this season. Like with Gobert, the organization appears to be in no rush to move on from Mitchell and would be content holding on to him. Again, that's just trade speak. You know, that's just of course, they have to say something like that. Now I'm going to talk about the Rudy Gobert trade and how this, the way I look at it, I'm going to take a contrarian view on that trade. I don't believe that the Rudy Gobert trade establishes the market. In fact, because the reason is, just because one team way overpaid and made a mistake like the Timberwolves did, doesn't mean other teams will. It does only take one sucker, of course, but now that we see that, also remember this. Oh, here, before we go on here, Ross from Legion Hoops, he tweeted out, the most serious threat for Donovan Mitchell right now, the New York Knicks, followed by the Miami Heat. And then Tony Jones, who wrote that article for The Athletic, said, let's be clear about this. The Jazz are currently not close to a Donovan Mitchell trade, and much like Gobert, they have no issues whatsoever in keeping him. Either a team is going to meet the bar to make this a convo, or he will be with the Jazz. They are not giving him away. I get it, but you know what? They're going to have to give him away at some point. They're going to have to trade him. It's already out there. Holding on to him is going to create a lot of frustration. That team is not going anywhere. It's not going to be a playoff team. So what is the point of holding on to him? The West is going to be more competitive next season. The Jazz could not even get out of the first round once again. And now they're not even going to have their all-star, defensive player of the year center. So really, it doesn't make any sense. It never made any sense to hold on to Mitchell once they traded away Gobert. Now, they did get a lot of tremendous draft picks. They got some nice assets, Vanderbilt and Beasley. But do we really believe that team is going to get out of the first round? Come on. I highly doubt it, especially with the way the West is going to be. It's going to be even stronger. Memphis, the Pelicans are going to be stronger. You know, the Lakers aren't going to stand pat. They're going to be back in the playoff hunt. Clippers are going to be stronger. Warriors. I mean, it's just, and the Nuggets are getting back Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. So this is going to be tough. Holding on to him here, this is the time for them to trade him. He has the most value right now. He has 4 more years on his contract. This is the moment that they can get the most out of him. But remember this. ESPN, Tim McCann, this is a tweet from NBA Central. Tim McMahon quotes, "The whispers around the league are that Danny Ainge is not convinced that Donovan Mitchell can be the face of a contending franchise." Right there, Danny blew it. He should have just kept his mouth shut if he wanted to get the max value out of Donovan Mitchell. Because how can he turn around and expect to get a trade package that is of a franchise-changing player when he doesn't even believe that Donovan Mitchell is that kind of a player? Can't do it like that. So immediately, this situation, now I'm going to go back to the Gobert thing. I do not believe that the offers for Donovan Mitchell are going to be on the level that the Timberwolves gave for Gobert, which was a huge, huge overpay. I don't believe it is, which is why I think the Knicks have a chance to pounce right now and get Donovan Mitchell. At least make a serious effort to get him. All right, let's go to... Here we go. All right. So this is my trade proposal. Knicks get Donovan Mitchell. The Jazz get Randall, Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, 2 New York Knicks firsts, and 3 protected firsts. I'm not sure exactly if the salaries match up exactly, but that's neither here nor there because they can massage certain things. But at its core, this, I think, is a fair trade. Now we're giving up 2 starters plus an elite bench, basically, the 6th man of the year type candidate in Derrick Rose. And we're giving up 5 first-round draft picks. Now, you guys might be wondering, wow, that feels like an overpay. Well, the thing is, we have Obi Toppin on this roster, and we all know, we all want Obi to be the starting power forward on the New York Knicks. So this, in this sense, this is like an addition by subtraction. And then Evan Fournier, an elite 3-point shooter, but defensively, he's lacking, and we know that a Thibodeau team needs that type of elite defense, especially out on the perimeter. Now, can he improve in that area? Yes, I talked about that last night, but there's no guarantees. And D Rose, he's an injury liability. Now, of course, but the thing is, the key to this trade is Randall. Could Randall get back to his 2020 version? Yes, I believe that he has a chance to, something like I've said it before, be somewhere in between what he was last season and what he was the season before, which would be a very impactful player, which would be an impactful player. This is a fair trade. Now, if you're thinking, wait, why acquire this guy? We're going to put him in the backcourt with Jalen Brunson. Are these guys going to really, they're going to, be owned on defense? Is this going to be something that it's going to frustrate Thibs? Well, let me put it this way. The average offensive and defensive ratings last season for all players was 112. Donovan Mitchell's offensive rating last season was 114. And his defensive rating was 111. So he was slight tick better than the average. When it comes to Brunson was a 118 offensively. And defensively, he was a 112, right in line with the league average. But offensively, what these guys will do is create havoc for the opponent. They will, the way these both guys can drive and pass out, and either one can sit out by the 3-point line and just drain those threes. Hopefully Brunson will up his 3-point attempts. We need him to. He's only averaging about 3 a game. We need him up there about 5, 6. Hopefully that would be really nice. This could be a dynamic pairing. Yes, they'll be on the small side. However, I mean, there really aren't that many big, shooting guards in the East. There really aren't. So it's not like we're going to get dominated every night in the East because of size out on the perimeter. So this is something seriously to look at. The other thing is, when you look at the career offensive and defensive ratings, Donovan Mitchell for his career is a 109 defensive rating player. He can be a better defensive player than he has shown the past 2 seasons. A lot of it could be because he plays with Gobert. He knows that he has a safety valve back there, or not a safety valve, but he has somebody who just a total stopper behind him, so he doesn't have to be as intense defensively as he can be. However, in a Tom Thibodeau scheme, that will not be the case. Thibs will have, that's the one thing we can say about Thibs. He will have guys playing the defense. Look what he did even with last season. The team started out terribly, the worst starting 5 in the entire NBA. By the end of the year, the team had really come around. It was in the top 3rd, I believe, in defensive rating. So, or maybe even top 8. But so I mean, that's his expertise. That's what he brings to the party. And Jalen Brunson, his career defensive rating is 114. But when you look at last season, it was a 112. He's trending in the direction of becoming a slightly better defender. And I think he actually will become a better defender for the same reasons in the Tom Thibodeau scheme. And obviously, the Knicks believe that he can be a decent enough defender. And with his career offensive rating of 117, that's fantastic. So I think this is an excellent deal. However, for both parties. However, if they balk at this, what about this? Now, the reason that I, chopped off one of those Knick picks is because now that we're giving up some of our young core, which is Quickley and Toppin, we're going to need to be able to replenish that through the draft later in the future at some point. And let me tell you, the upside of Toppin and Quickley is tremendous. I mean, I'm sitting here saying, I've been saying all this time that I think Quickley can be a better point guard than Brunson. Yes, especially when it comes to playoffs. And we saw what Jalen did. So this is my own take on this. And then Evan Fournier, of course, he's still the 3-point marksman that the Jazz desperately need. And they still get those 3 protected first. Now, maybe there's a possibility that the Knicks can go back to those teams that they got the 3 protected firsts from, and maybe loosen those protections a bit through some trades, through giving some second rounders. Not sure if that's even possible, but it's something that it should be worth looking into. So there you go. Here's another thing, another argument for Donovan Mitchell. And this will be the final one. There aren't that many top guys that are ever going to be available in the NBA in the next at least 3 or 4 years. There really aren't. And now we can get him now. And he still has 4 more years on his contract. And it's not a crazy contract. It's a max from 2 seasons ago or a season ago. I can't remember exactly when he signed it, but it's not an outlandish contract. When you look at Hollinger's PER ratings, Donovan Mitchell, he's 29th in the entire NBA. 29th. So he's a top 30 player according to Hollinger with a 21.64 PER. When you look at the NBA pie, the player impact, I forgot what it totally stands for. The player impact efficiency. Yeah, player impact efficiency. He's 26th. He was 26th last season with 13.5. Between Devin Booker and Jalen Brown from Boston. Two of the shooting guards that have been in the most recent NBA Finals. So there he is, sandwiched right between them. Now, when you look at the 538 Raptor scores, the overall offensive Raptor score, he is tied for 9th best in the entire NBA with a plus 4.7. Now, his defensive overall Raptor is a minus 2.7. That was for last season. But the season before, he was a minus 1.9. So that's what I'm saying. He has the ability to be a better defender than he showed last season. And if Thibs can get in there, who knows? We might have a player. And also, offensively, in 2020 and 21, he was a plus 5.7 overall Raptor. So we're talking about, I think, when you combine all of this and what he provides, Donovan Mitchell looks like at least a top 20 player in the NBA. Now, is that enough to just take you to the promised land? No. But he's young. His prime is ahead of him. He's going to be better. And the guy loves New York. He loves New York. He is from here. He deserves to come home and wear orange and blue and light it up at Madison Square Garden. But remember, this only works if RJ is playing alongside him in the Big Apple. All right. Well, thank you for watching this. Again, please drop your comments. Want to hear your feelings about this? Hit the thumbs up buttons and subscribe. Please turn on the notification bell, and I will see you around the Knicks-Verse.